Part 8. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 71. I come. With a cute scolding sound, a red light wrapped a figure and jumped up, and the red light dissipated, and that person was Du Lingde from Miaoun Pavilion. The challenge of the arena has officially started. With the sound of the voice, the protective shields around the arena were raised to prevent the surrounding people from being accidentally injured. The four of Guyao were surrounded by a group of female students. Zhangyan was content, Tianfirong and Little Fatty were a little uncomfortable, and of course they wouldn't run away because of this discomfort. They had to cheer for Du Lingde. In a blink of an eye, two people on the stage started fighting with a black épée and a flaming whip, and everyone could see that neither of them kept their hands, and the fight was extremely fierce. Brother Ye, which of the two has the bigger face? In Guyao's eyes, the two of them have the same cultivation level, which may be compared to the experience of fighting. On the surface, it seems that Wu Meng is superior, but seeing Du Lingde's sharp shot, with the whip pulled out, a flame swept across, leaving a black and hot mark on the table. If it falls on someone, it will definitely be burned. Qi Changjai looked at it for a while and said, the difference in combat between the two is not too big. It's hard to say who has the most cards. Zhangyan next to him heard it and echoed, this Wu Meng had been in retreat for a while before, and his cultivation level caught up to be on par with Du Suimei, but looking at this Wu Meng's confidence, maybe as Qi Shao said, he had a trump card in his hand. Until all the cards are revealed, the result of this arena battle is hard to say. With a bang, amazing energy erupted from the arena, and the two people in the center quickly separated, both staring at each other with unbalanced breaths, which just confirmed what Qi Changjai and Zhangyan said, the two are evenly matched. Who wins and who loses hard to say. Wu Meng suddenly laughed, took a jade bottle from the storage bag, poured out a red medicinal pill and threw it into his mouth. Immediately, the momentum on his body exploded, and someone shouted, no, it can be short. The mysterious explosion pill that has improved his cultivation in time. Where did Wu Meng get the mysterious explosion pill? No, his cultivation has risen to the 9th level of Qi refining. What can I do now? Senior Sister Du can still beat him. This guy really came prepared. Wu Meng laughed even more proudly, extremely arrogant. As soon as Du Lingde gritted her teeth, she immediately took out a fiery red bead. The bead floated above her and released a scorching light. It slowly sank and gradually merged into Du Lingde's body. At the same time, Du Lingde's face twitched. It looked extremely painful, and there were bursts of gasping sounds all around. Zhangyan explained, this is the fire spirit orb, which can help fire-type cultivators to temporarily improve their strength, but because of the forcible improvement, the tendons and veins will definitely be injured afterward, and the sequelae left are greater than the Xianbang Dan. If it is a natural fire, if it is a spirit body, then there will be no such negative effects. Guyao heard it, this fire spirit orb is also considered a treasure of heaven and earth, and it is only suitable for fire practitioners. Just listening to the sound of bang, Du Lingde's whole figure turned into a burning man. Wu Meng obviously did not expect such a treasure on Du Lingde's body, and he used it recklessly, with a ferocious expression on his face, and he waved heavily. The sword slashed towards Du Lingde, causing the onlookers to scold, but there was no such thing as grace or concession in the ring. Only wins and losses. Du Lingde's closed eyes suddenly opened, and she waved her whip to meet her. A fire python several times thicker than before flew out of the whip, colliding with Wu Meng's attack. Boom! The explosive airflow almost overturned the entire arena. At the same time, the two figures also flew backwards. Du Lingde spat out a mouthful of blood, which was quickly turned to nothing by the spirit cremation. In comparison, Wu Meng only had a quarrel. The bloodshot flowed out, and he wiped it with his hand, and then walked towards Du Lingde with a sinister smile. We admit defeat in this game, Tao Yu called out immediately, looking at Du Lingde, who still refused to admit defeat and wanted to get up from the ground with difficulty and continue to fight with a heartache. Miaoun Pavilion admits defeat. This battle is Mad Snake Gang naked. The referee announced the result in time. If Wu Meng continued to attack, he would have to wait for the punishment from the law enforcement hall, so Wu Meng had to stop at this moment, but his face was unwilling. After the shield was removed, Tao Yu brought a female student to the stage to help Du Lingde down, and at the same time fed the healing medicine pill. At this time, she only moved it gently, which also made Du Lingde look painful. Said that her body's muscles were not lightly injured. Who else is dissatisfied in Miaoun Pavilion? Come on, Wu Meng shouted on the stage arrogantly, and the people from the crazy snake gang who were with him also shouted, and the words were extremely humiliating. I'll come. Even though Tao Yu knew that her naked face was extremely small, she couldn't retreat at this time, so she could only walk out. I'm coming, a cold and stern voice sounded in the crowd, which attracted everyone to look at the source of the voice, so the four Guyao were highlighted. The one who made the voice was Qi Changjai. He strode forward, the three of them followed closely behind, while Zhang Yan walked leisurely with his hands behind his back. Tao Yu never expected this one to speak out. Isn't he Guyao's entourage? Who is that person? Many people, onlookers and the crazy snake gang, ask such questions. Aren't those four new students who offended the crazy snake gang? Then it's not the students who are walking in front, right? It's the followers brought in by the new students. When did the followers become so powerful? Dare to challenge in the ring. What ability do these four have to make senior sister Du and senior sister Tao work hard for them? Just now, Du Lingde was clearly trying to do her best, even at the consequence of her serious injury. Even some female students in Miaoun Pavilion who didn't know the insider felt that it was not worth it. I didn't see senior brother Zhang walking with them. It seems that they have a good relationship with senior brother Zhang. It seems that their identities are becoming more and more mysterious. I'm coming, Qi Changjai said firmly again. Tao Yu went up is also a loser. Qi Changjai was not fighting for Miaoun Pavilion and Tao Yu, but for Guyao and the four of them. Tao Yu's gaze shifted to Guyao. Guyao should be the master. Guyao smiled and said, the senior sisters were embarrassed before. This matter started because of us, we should not back down. Well then, but the sisters of Miaoun Pavilion are not easy to bully. You are still under the protection of Miaoun Pavilion, Tao Yu compromised. Okay, Guyao nodded slightly. The cooperation will of course continue. After all, there are only four of them, and it is not enough to rely on Qi Changjai for protection. At this moment, Guyao deeply realized how important it is to improve his cultivation. The four of them should rush up together and beat the others to pieces. Qi Changjai glanced at Guyao, and then jumped onto the ring, attracting applause based on his appearance and bearing, but after seeing the identity token on his body, there were boos. How could he be an entourage? Wu Meng also saw it, and taunted with his thumbs down. It turns out that the few of you only know how to hide behind women and ask women to come forward to you. What is a man? Embryo. Kong has practiced more than others for so many years, but don't represent a man. People like you are simply a scum among men. Qi Changjai was expressionless, and his eyes did not waver at all. Do you want to humiliate Qi Changjai with words? That obviously didn't work. The protective cover of the arena was raised again. The moment it was closed, Wu Meng suddenly rushed towards Qi Changjai. The épée pointed at Qi Changjian's heart. The people in Miaoun Pavilion exclaimed. Wu Meng had a proud look on his face. Just then, the people in the audience exclaimed again. The figure stabbed by the heavy sword turned into a light spot after a ripple and dispersed. Just behind Wu Meng, the figure that should have been stabbed appeared again. Come out. That is to say, the person who was stabbed before was actually just an after-image. Qi Changjai moved too fast, so fast that it deceived Wu Meng's eyes, and the people of the crazy snake gang who saw this behind the scenes were no longer proud of their faces. The color, Tao Yu and others have hope in the eyes, did not expect to turn around here. What is the origin of this Qi Changjai, or that the Guyao he followed is even bigger? The afterimage disappeared, and Wu Meng realized that he had been deceived. He turned around abruptly, and then Qi Changjai was standing behind him. A fierce comparison, standing tall. Qi Changjai still looked at Wu Meng coldly, but Wu Meng felt humiliated, and continued to attack Qi Changjai with a loud roar. He no longer believed in this evil. Qi Changjai flashed again, but this time in addition to his body moving, his hand moved, but it was dizzyingly fast, only to hear Wu Meng's scream, and the sound of a heavy object landing. Everyone was calm. Look, they all gasped. Qi Changjai was out of the sword, but the sword was not out of stock. He used the sheathed sword to hit Wu Meng's wrist. The sword in his hand suddenly fell. Wu Meng did not dare. Believe in everything that happens to you. Qi Changjai's figure flashed again, and he kicked out. Wu Meng's tall man was kicked and flew out. If it wasn't for a shield, he would have been taken off the stage at this time. At the same time, Qi Changjai's figure was approaching. The sword was swung again, but it still did not sell, but pointed at Wu Meng's throat with the unsheathed tip of the sword. Gudong, many people swallowed their saliva uncontrollably. At this time, Wu Meng's rising aura after taking the Xianbang pill has not yet subsided. That is to say, Qi Changjai did not even pull out his sword. He would refine his qi to the 9th level. The Wu Meng was easily defeated in 3 or 2 strokes. This awareness made them make a gumbling sound again, which was terrible. Tao Yu, Du Lingde and the others' eyes lit up, and Zhang Yan's eyes flashed a strange color, but he still couldn't judge the depth of Qi Changjai, and he clearly didn't use his full strength. It has not reached the foundation building, and it can be seen that the aura between the gestures is not weaker than that of the foundation building cultivator, which is really strange. Do you admit defeat? Qi Changjai said coldly. At this moment, Wu Meng's aura gradually fell back. Aware of his own situation, Wu Meng knew that there was no possibility of counterattack. He could only reluctantly said, admit defeat. Qi Changjai retracted his sword and walked back. I'm the entourage of new student Guyao. Wu Meng vomited blood. He was defeated by an unknown person. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 72. Wu Meng, who has raised his cultivation to the 9th level of qi refining, is not a match for Qi Changjai. How could the rest of the crazy snake gang dare to challenge themselves again? So in this battle, the crazy snake gang lost. From now on, it is necessary to follow the agreement of the two parties, not to seek the trouble of Miaoun Pavilion, which naturally includes Guyao and several others. Wu Feng in the crowd still stared at Qi Changjai, who floated down from the stage in disbelief. How could this person be so powerful? He was just a follower. In exchange for him with such powerful strength, he had already rebelled against the master and established his own business, and would he still be willing to follow a monk whose cultivation base was much weaker? But thinking of the next possible situation, Wu Feng shuddered, and cast a jealous look at Guyao and the others. If it weren't for these people, how could he have ended up in the current situation? Wu Meng lost his face today and vowed to get it back from him. There were already bad eyes on him, and Wu Feng hurriedly ran away. Humph, count him running fast. Useless thing, the people of the crazy snake gang cursed bitterly. Guyao looked in the direction of the crazy snake gang, but didn't notice anything unusual. A hateful gaze was projected over before, which made him keenly aware, but he didn't know who the owner of the gaze was, but he thought about the 4 of them. How long has it been since I entered the academy, and how many people can I offend? It's from the crazy snake gang again. If it's not surprising, it's that narrow-minded Wu madman. As soon as Qi Changjai returned to Guyao, he received a lot of congratulations. Among the new students, he became famous in the first battle, followed by Guyao. After all, Qi Changjai only reported Guyao's name in the ring. For a while, Guyao received many envious and jealous eyes, which made him wonder whether to laugh or cry. When he left, the little fat man was still in a trance. He still hasn't digested the fact that Qi Changjai is so powerful. It's like he is in a fantasy. He actually lives in the same yard with such a powerful person, and the other party is not only cold, and does not have a bullish look with eyes on the top of his head like others. This ring competition has been discussed by the students of the academy for many days. There is never a shortage of people in the academy who are flexible and try their best to earn spirit stones. Therefore, as soon as the ring battle is over, the other side starts to sell the photo stones of the battle, whether it is the battle between Wu Meng and Du Lingde or the one that followed later was very exciting. You must know that Du Lingde is famous among the students for her beauty and explosive fighting power. There are a group of so-called among the male and female students. Fans. The scope of the photo stone is getting wider and wider, and the identity of the other party in the battle video is really amazing. Not only this year's new students, but also the entourage of the new students, who actually gave Wu Meng a veteran student. It took a lot of effort to defeat it, and the victory was very clean. When I heard such a name, some veteran students did not believe in evil, so they bought the photo-taking stone for verification. In this way, the photo-taking stone was passed to the inner courtyard. Zhang Yan, is the follower named Guyao really so good? The battle scene in the photo stone is not fake. After seeing the battle scene, some people thought that Wu Meng was bribed and deliberately faked. I was there at the time, so I can't tell if Wu Meng is cheating. Zhang Yan smiled. Then what's the origin of Guyao? Let such a good player follow him as a follower. Zhang Yan heard a lot of such doubts, and couldn't help laughing in his heart. He had been to Shifang City, and he had Zhou Li inquire about a few of them, so he was very clear about Guyao's origin. At best, his legendary uncle seems to be a bit of a man, but according to people from Yuanyang town, that one has long since left and never appeared again. Of course, Guyao is not without a little bit of mystery. The hand alchemy technique is very amazing. Zhang Yan can only attribute it to what legacy his mysterious uncle left behind, but the more mysterious person is Qi Changjai. No matter how you understand it, it seems to have suddenly appeared in Yuanyang town, and has formed an inexplicable relationship with Guyao. Even he can't figure out Qi Changjai's mind, why he is willing to stay by Guyao's side. But what is certain is that this child is not a thing in the pool. Maybe even the sky of this Tianlin continent can't trap him, and will fly out sooner or later. Old Fang, this is the person you brought back from Shifang City? Why didn't you recruit him into the academy? What student's entourage did you get? An academy teacher projected the photo stone in his hand. That picture is the moment when Qi Changjai dodged and attacked Wu Meng's wrist with his scabbard. Such a talent actually allowed him to mingle with his entourage. How did the surnamed Fang do things? Huh? It's him. Teacher Fang looked like an old was there, not surprised at all. I still need you to tell me how I do things. Why don't you go to Shifang City next time? Are you still not satisfied that he entered our academy instead of other sects? If it was exposed at the time, do you think he could still enter our academy? Even Chang Xianmen will rush to accept such talents. Since he is willing to enter the academy as a student's entourage, of course Teacher Fang quietly presses it. You. The teacher still stared at Teacher Fang with hatred. Don't you make people think that our academy doesn't pay enough attention to him? What if you have an opinion on our academy students? What should I do? Let's make a salad. That teacher was so angry that he almost vomited blood, and was about to put away the photo stone when someone suddenly plundered it from mid-air. Who is this child? Why have I never seen it before? It should be our sword. Peak people. Elder Yi, why are you here? Teacher Fang and the teacher surnamed Chen were shocked when they saw the people who came, and they secretly called it bad. The visitor has white beard and white eyebrows, but he is small and thin, but none of the two academy teachers here dared to look down on him, because he is the peak master of Ji Unfeng, and his swordsmanship is extremely sharp, and none of the teachers of the same rank in the academy are his opponents. Elder Yi didn't look at the faces of the two, but only looked at the battle scene in the photo stone. Quickly tell who this guy is. Didn't you see his sword chi? It's clearly a sword cultivator, but a lightning cultivator. Jianqiu, this is the only way to achieve such a fast speed, but according to the old man, his breath is a little stagnant, and his strength has not been displayed 10%, otherwise, a sword energy can kill that kid in seconds. The more Elder Yi admired the two, the more trembling he became. Teacher Fang was no longer arrogant in front of the students, and said cautiously, Elder Yi, this son is the entourage of the new students. If you want to enter Ji Unfeng, you have to. It depends on the students he follows and his own wishes. I can only hope that Gu Yao won't let people go easily, and Qi Changjai doesn't want to be without Ji Unfeng. Teacher Fang really doesn't want the great seedlings to be destroyed. Zhang Yan can see that Qi Changjai has an extraordinary origin. Blind. What he did was to get people into the academy first and then make plans. Sure enough, as he expected, this person quickly became famous in the academy. But now it seems that the limelight is too much, attracting the old guy Elder Yi. Elder Yi is thin and small, but the energy in his body is astonishing. He stared at Teacher Fang, and he wilted. He said, don't think that this old man doesn't know what you are thinking. Do you think that geniuses are so easy to be? Only geniuses who have undergone thousands of trials can truly grow up, otherwise sooner or later they will die in the middle, and geniuses will become mediocre. Teacher Chen's hands were shaking, and he tried hard to say, Elder Yi, do you want to stop thinking about it? Elder Yi's face was stern. Humph, then I'll ask the dean to come forward. Immediately, without waiting for the two of them to reply, they swept away in a flash, leaving the two of them in a hurry, and finally stepped on their feet and chased after them again. Go out. Qi Changjai deliberately suppressed the sword qi, but defeated Wu Meng through his body technique. Among them, the star technique he had been practicing helped a lot. However, if he suppressed it again, in front of the sword cultivator who also practiced swordsmanship, it was still the same. It was impossible to hide it, so this was exposed in front of Elder Yi. The news spread quickly, and in a blink of an eye, the senior management of the academy knew that Elder Ji Unfeng Yi was interested in a newly admitted student. The entourage around him vowed to bring him into Ji Unfeng, but the other teachers disagreed, so he went to the dean. You must know that the dean seldom asks about the common affairs of the college on weekdays. Therefore, a new student's entourage has actually alarmed the dean. How powerful is this entourage, and is it worth Elder Yi to be so active? So a group of teachers and elders rushed to the dean to get important information as soon as possible. Zhang Yan was stunned when he saw the news he got in his hands, and he quickly sent a message. The four of Gu Yao, who were dining together in the small courtyard, suddenly saw a light group in front of them. Gu Yao clicked with his hand, and a voice came from the light group, from senior brother Zhang Yan. Junior brother Gu, Qi Xiao, I'm Zhang Yan. Qi Xiao was favored by Elder Yi Ji Unfeng because of his outstanding performance in the arena, and he wanted to be included in Ji Unfeng, but Qi Xiao didn't know anything about it. Danfan was the sword repairer that Elder Yi favored. Will be sent to the Jianj in the end. The rumors about the Tianfu Academy's Jianj must have been heard, so Zhang hopes to choose carefully. After the words were finished, the light clusters dispersed into light spots. Tian Firong was stunned. Sword pavilion? The sword pavilion where 10 people entered, 9 fools and 1 crazy. The little fat man also puffed up his eyes. The news is good or bad? The good news is that Qi Changjai became famous overnight and was named by Elder Ji Unfeng. Jianj, I don't know what it will look like when I come out again. If I follow in the footsteps of others, it will be too late to cry. Chi Changjai frowned. He didn't want to come into contact with Jianj so soon. After all, his injuries have not yet fully recovered, and he doesn't know anything about the situation of Jianj. Besides, Guyao is still weak now, and he doesn't want to be too far apart from Guyao. If he enters Jianfeng, definitely can't live in this small courtyard with Guyao. The time is still too short, and the various situations of Tianfu College have not yet been fully understood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 73. Brother Ye, don't you want to take a look at Jianj? This opportunity is just right. Guyao felt that this opportunity was right at his door. People like Chi Changjai should not be around him and take care of Lingxi for him. They left Yuan Yang town long ago, and Chi Changjai doesn't need to stay by his side anymore. Chi Changjai glanced at the shocked Tian Firong and the little fat man, took a piece of animal meat into Guyao's bowl, and said, "Don't worry, someone will come to the door, and it's too early to enter the sword pavilion. Xiaoao doesn't have to worry about me." Worry. Guyao also remembered that the injury on Chi Changjai's body had not yet recovered. At this time, the state of entering the sword pavilion was definitely not the best. It was indeed too early. He nodded and said, "Anyway, it is good for Brother Ye to enter the sword peak early. There should be I can better understand the situation about the sword pavilion." The two of you said a word to each other, and then held each other's vegetables, and there was no need to worry about the nervous situation at all. It took a while for Tian Firong and Little Fatty to recover, and they looked at each other. Are they worrying about their feelings for nothing? People are simply here for the sword pavilion? No wonder, such a powerful cultivator Chi Changjai would willingly stay by Guyao's side, just to find a chance to enter the sword pavilion in order to successfully enter the Tianfu Academy. Now his wish has been fulfilled, but he is really not afraid of the terrible reputation of the sword pavilion. The result of 9 fools and 1 madness is something that not everyone can bear. Nameless peak where the dean is located. Dean Yu, who was fishing with his eyes closed by the lake, finally opened his eyes. Everyone has gathered, and he doesn't need to deal with it in several trips, so as not to disturb his self-cultivation. Elder Yi stepped forward impatiently. "Dean, you can't ignore this matter. Shouldn't such a good sword cultivator enter RG Unfeng? I don't know how these teachers do things, bury such a talent in the under." Wu Feng's master Cai Feng disagreed. "It is such a good seedling that should not enter Ji Unfeng. It is also possible to enter our Wu Feng, at least our Wu Feng." Under the fierce eyes of Elder Yi, the latter few the words were swallowed, but the meaning of what they didn't come out could be understood by others. That is, at least Wu Feng would not turn people into fools and madmen. Dean Yu took the photo stone with interest, and his divine sense penetrated into it to watch it. Chi Changjai in the ring was clearly hidden a lot, but Dean Yu raised his brows. This young monk is really not ordinary people can teach. Yes, let go and say, his breath is stagnant, it should be an old injury that has not healed, and it is not suitable to enter the sword pavilion now. Elder Yi was stunned. No wonder he felt something was wrong with Chi Changjai. It turned out to be an unhealed injury, and he wondered that the strength he showed now should be no less than that of Chi refining, so before he was injured, wasn't it? Others heard their hearts pounding, especially Teacher Fang. What kind of monster did he recruit, and it was such a young base-building cultivator? I didn't see the arrogance of the 2 foundation establishment cultivators who came over from Changxianmen. Yu Yuanzi touched his chin and said, "It's hard to say." Elder Yi said unwillingly, "Then why don't you ask Danfan Peak's master to refine the furnace to heal the wounds and let him recover quickly? If it drags on for a long time, will there be any sequelae? Dan Peak Lord Lin came here purely to join in the fun, but he didn't expect to provoke the upper body, and let him open the furnace to make alchemy as soon as he opened his mouth. Where did such a big face come from? He snorted unhappily through his nose. Elder Yi looked at Feng Julin displeasedly. Lin Fengju, that student doesn't have this qualification. Don't I have this qualification? Have. I heard that the students of Danfan are getting bigger and bigger now. They are not very skilled, but they are very big. I don't even look at the current situation in the outer courtyard. I heard that a student who has just come in can make intermediate level high-grade pills. I wonder how many of those veteran students in Danfan can do it. There is also a shop built by a group of female students in the outer courtyard. The medicine pills in it are selling like crazy, and it has nothing to do with Danfeng. Lord Lin really didn't know the situation. The student who just came in? The middle-level high-grade pill? Did you make a mistake? What kind of cultivation is the student? Is it from the family of Danju? Teacher Fang is the most clear about this, and explained, it is the student who is followed by the sword cultivator that Elder Yi likes. It seems that the alchemy technique is quite good. Currently, there is a stall in the outer courtyard specializing in high-grade Dan. Humph, grandstanding. Don't have any intentions, Peak Master Lin said displeased, mainly because he didn't like someone to belittle their Danfan. Don't you think so? Don't you know what the reputation of our Tianfu Academy is now outside? Talent is good. Miozi are reluctant to choose us and go to other sections. This one is likely to be a foundation building swordsman, and the other is an alchemist who can refine high-grade pills. As soon as you enter the academy, there is such a big disturbance. Do you think the purpose of the meeting is simple? Elder Yi was unhappy. What? Our Tianfu Academy can't attract talented monks to come in? Come in with ulterior motives? Then how did your surnamed Lin come in? You also have ulterior motives. You are arrogant. You are narrow-minded. Shut up. Dean Yu spoke, finally ending the quarrel, and if the quarrel continued, it would start a fight. Elder Yi was very hot-tempered. A smile flashed in Dean Yu's eyes, and he took out a token and threw it to Teacher Fang. Give this token to him, don't restrict his whereabouts, it's up to him to choose. Whether to enter the sword pavilion or not is also up to him. Lord, once you choose to enter, you will be at your own risk. Lord Lin Feng, don't worry, even if you have ulterior motives, the things in Tianfu Academy are not so good. When Mr. Fang saw this token, it was almost like a direct disciple of the dean. It could be used anywhere in the inner and outer courtyards of the academy. This kind of treatment is really shocking. Therefore, the seedlings that Elder Yi favored were immediately rejected. Did the dean dug it? Elder Yi also saw the token clearly, but he was not angry at all. He just saw that the talent was buried. It would be good for the dean to pay attention to it. Lin Fengju looked at his brows and expressed his pimples. He had already expressed his opinion on the two people who had not met. He wanted to see what skills these two had to make the dean admire him. None of Danfan's students did not. Such an honor. It's all gone. Dean Yu waved his hand. Ruan, Ruan. Elder Yi grabbed Teacher Fang and walked together, and the road was rarely silent, which meant that Teacher Fang should take good care of people, but don't let people bully them, because the token students can't understand. As long as they don't, it is public that Qi Changjai is still Gu Yao's follower. The only thing that Elder Yi is dissatisfied with is this. What is the status of the follower? How can you not think so? It's better to remind him, even if you become a student of the outer courtyard, Elder Yi said reluctantly. Teacher Fang was secretly happy. Elder Yi still has such a mother-in-law side, but he promised well on the face. Yes, Elder Yi, I will persuade him to order it, and I will also make people look good. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai thought that they would be summoned by the college bosses, but it was not the bosses who were waiting, but Zhang Yan, who came in person, brought a token to Qi Changjai, and explained to him that the token was useful. Gu Yao and Tian Firong are envious of the little fat man, because this means that a lot of spirit stones can be saved. Zhang Yan smiled and said, I don't know why the dean persuaded Elder Yi not to take you into Jianfeng for the time being. Elder Yi has always wanted to find good seedlings to enter the sword pavilion for trial, but you all know that place. Now it seems that the hospital it gave you enough time to grow up, Brother Chi, but since the dean was eyeing him, this sword pavilion would have to enter sooner or later. Chi Changjai put away the token without being arrogant. Senior brother Lao Zhang is here. Zhang Yan waved his hand and reminded, however, because you have been in the limelight this time, the opinions of the above peak masters and elders are not unified, so the challenges you and junior brother Gu will face in the future will only increase and not decrease. It's probably impossible to keep things calm. Teacher Fang will vaguely mention to Zhang Yan the attitude of everyone when he went to see the dean. Zhang Yan is a good person. I don't know why Chi Changjai is valued by the dean, but this value will make others unhappy, and people's hearts are the easiest change, not to mention that this involves the allocation of resources within the academy, so it is impossible for the people above to have the same heart. Thank you senior brother Zhang for reminding me. Gu Yao and Chi Changjai thanked them together. Zhang Yan sat for a while and left, leaving a few people looking at each other. Alas, it seems that the three of us are too weak, dragging big brother yes hind legs, Gu Xingcan said. No, Chi Changjai disagreed, without Gu Yao, he couldn't have recovered so quickly. But our cultivation base is a little weak, and there are not many places to help brother Ye, so I think the three of us should improve our cultivation base as soon as possible. Second brother Tian, little fat man, what do you think? Gu Yao asked. Both of them had expressions of embarrassment on their faces. Gu Yao said it was not bad, but the cultivation base was not something that could be brought up. Otherwise, there would not be so many students working hard in the academy for years and months. After Chi Changjai heard this, he understood what Gu Yao wanted to do. He glanced at Tian Firong and Little Fatty. If the two of them did not improve their cultivation, they would indeed drag Gu Yao back. He wanted to stay, but it was impossible to do so now. And Gu Yao has the means to make the two walk faster than before. He took a special look at Tian Firong again. Does this guy know his own problems? It's stupid to have Gu Yao worry about him. Tian Firong was seen with hair all over his body, moved uncomfortably, and asked carefully, Brother Chi, what's wrong with me? Gu Yao tried to ask, Tian brother, do you know what's wrong with you? Tian Firong's expression froze, and then he said awkwardly, what can I have a problem with? Is my qualifications too poor? Chi Changjai gave him a cold look. Your problem is that you need to be beaten, just beat him a few times. Tian Firong had a morning face. Without such a bully, the little fat man snickered unscrupulously, but he quickly straightened up, otherwise it would be his turn next. Gu Yao laughed, poked Chi Changjai, and told him not to bully Tian brother like this. Chi Changjai was shocked like an electric shock. The part that was stabbed was numb, and his body was a little stiff. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 74. Second brother Tian. Gu Yao seriously looked at Tian Firong's expression, guessing in his heart that he might only know a little about his own situation. I think your aptitude should be better than what you have shown. The reason why you cannot improve your cultivation is because of your body. I was drugged inside, and my body was like a sieve, unable to retain spiritual energy. The little fat man looked at Tian Firong in astonishment and sympathy. Who is so cruel? He will ruin Tian Firong's future. After spending a few days with the Tian family in Shifang City, the Tian family is very harmonious. Tian Firong's expression was stagnant, his body was stiff, and his voice trembled a little when he spoke again. Really? Was he really drugged? Yes, Gu Yao believed in Su Chen. So brother Tian, do you want to get rid of the medicine and improve your qualifications? Brother Tian, think about how long your cultivation has not progressed. Tian Firong clenched his fists and his eyes were a little red. Gu Yao, do you know the antidote? Can you refine that antidote? I. When he really knew the answer, he was a little confused and didn't know how to face the truth case. Guyao patted him on the shoulder and said, "Tner, think about it, no matter what decision you make, I will support you. As long as you want to solve it and the materials are ready, I will give you an antidote immediately." Okay. After uttering a word, Tian Firong seemed to have let go of all his strength, and turned back to the room in a dejected manner. The little fat man turned around in a daze. He had never seen Tian Firong suffer such a blow, so this medicine was given by his trusted relatives. Just as he was about to ask Guyao if he knew anything, he saw Guyao staring at him with a burning gaze, making him furious. "Guyao, what are you looking at me for? I've never been drugged." The little fat man hugged into a ball and subconsciously took a few steps away. With his grandfather's identity, who would dare to die under the eyes of his old man? Unless you're tired of living. Guyao laughed. Even if the little fat man was drugged, he couldn't see it. Tian Firong's situation was only known by the blessing of Senior Su Chen. He waved his hand and said, "I know this, I just want to ask, what do you think? Don't want to improve your qualifications and speed up your practice?" The little fat man was stunned again, and looked at Guyao with strange eyes and said, "Aren't you dizzy? All the things that improve aptitude are the treasures of heaven and earth. If they were easy to get, I have taken them long ago. Already." It's not that his grandfather didn't think about improving his qualifications, but after searching for years, he couldn't find much useful things, so he could only stuff him a lot of medicinal pills, and when he turned around, he told him not to use medicinal pills blindly, otherwise the foundation would be lost. Stable. Chi Changjai stopped Guyao's next words with his eyes, looked at the little fat man coldly and said, "There are so many strange people in the world that there is not only one way to transform the body to improve one's aptitude." Guyao was fortunate to be a famous teacher since childhood. But no one else knows it. Now he has a potion in his hand, which can improve the purity of the spiritual root. If it has any effect, he can find a magic weapon to test it, but if you want to take it, you must first make an oath. Remote permission, not to disclose to anyone, not even close relatives. Guyao glanced at Chi Changjai gratefully. He originally had this plan, but obviously Chi Changjai took the wicked first. Su Chen tossed up and down in the space. The famous teacher Chi Changjai said was him. How could he not know when he became Guyao's master? And Chi Changjai, who knows his existence? So immediately ask Guyao. Guyao was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Senior Su was listening to the situation outside, so he immediately replied, "Big brother Ye doesn't know about it. I can't explain the existence and origin of Senior. In that case, all secrets will be exposed." That means, this kid is a blind cat and a dead rat. Ah! I'm not that dead rat. Realizing that he had said something wrong, Su Chen's soul body tumbling even more. Guyao snickered. He knew that Senior Su was different from the outside, and many times he blurted out his words without thinking about it, and it didn't fit his image of a master at all. But then he was stunned again. What does Senior Su mean? Admit yourself to be his apprentice? Or did Senior Su himself not realize the ambiguity in these words? But he didn't hear what Senior Su said, so Guyao also suppressed this issue first. The little fat man rubbed his ears, looked at Guyao in disbelief, and asked him for proof. What he said was true. Guyao nodded and said, "My original aptitude was even worse, but within half a year of leaving the Gu family, my cultivation level jumped 3 levels in a row. Even with the help of medicinal pills, my aptitude has improved. But you need to collect some of the materials yourself, and taking the potion is more painful. You can't let yourself faint, or you will lose your previous achievements." The little fat man's eyes shone with light. Is there really such a potion? Can he improve his qualifications? Guyao still thought it was not enough to stimulate him, and added, "This is only at the current stage. When my strength rises a few more steps, I should be able to improve again on this basis. In the end, I don't know if there are any restrictions. Of course, I don't know. What needs to be said is that I can't wash off the spiritual root. It turns out that the spiritual root is still the spiritual root. The little fat man blushed with excitement. Tianfu College further showed the thickness of the spiritual roots in the past, so it was unclear how the value of this value would affect the monks. In other words, Guyao had a potion that could continuously improve that value, even if there is only a slight possibility, only a slight improvement. He is willing to take this risk. I do. No matter how painful it is, I can persevere. Devil's oath, Qi Changjai reminded him. These words are like pouring a basin of cold water on the little fat man's head, and the flesh on his face twists a bit. And his previous speculation that he was likely to blame Guyao, made him not know how to face Guyao with his true identity. Guyao smiled and said, "Do you also need time to think about it?" No, the little fat man refused without thinking, and then twitched in place for a while before saying in a mosquito-like voice, "Actually, that, in fact, I am that." "You are Hu Yk, the grandson of Hu Guzu who has been looking for in Shifang City," Guyao joked. "Ah! You know," the little fat man screamed. Guyao laughed. "Guess, the timing of your appearance is too coincidental, little fat man, plus the mention of Hu Guzu and the strangeness you showed when meeting people, brother Ye, and I guessed whether you belonged to him." The little fat man covered his face. It was so embarrassing. I didn't expect others to know his identity earlier, but he was so self-conscious that he was hiding in Tianfu Academy, and no one could find him. The little fat man secretly peered out through his fingers. Not only Guyao had a playful look on his face, but Qi Changjai's facial expression softened, and they all looked at him together. It's useless to cover up, it's just to hide the bells and steal the bell, to do useless work. The little fat man put down his hands in disgust. Then, in the name of Hu Yk, he solemnly made an oath that the secret will not be leaked. If the oath is violated, inner demons will obstruct his cultivation base and make no progress. As soon as the oath was made, both Little Fatty and Guyao felt a binding force descending. This induction made Little Fatty relieved, and Guyao was very curious. This phenomenon will never happen in the interstellar world. Once again, certainly, this life and the previous life are two completely different worlds, and the restriction of heaven on practitioners is very strict. Guyao secretly reminded himself, "Don't make promises easily, and once you make a promise, it will be done recklessly." However, such constraints also made him less scruples to help Little Fatty. Guyao made a list. Little Fatty didn't ask Fatty to find the existing materials. All the materials listed were indispensable, especially Little Fatty's main spiritual root. He still remembered that it was Earth spiritual root. There are quite a few changes, and the most important thing is a soil-type inner alchemy. The little fat man took it and saw that the most expensive one was the inner pill, and the others were not worth much spiritual stones at all. At the same time, Guyao also gave a list and glanced in the direction of Tian Firong's room. The little fat man immediately understood the purpose of the above materials, took it without saying a word, turned around and went out to collect it. He dared to say that Tian Firong was definitely willing to use the antidote in the end, and who would not want to trample the people who had humiliated them under their feet one day. When the little fat man came back after collecting all the materials, Tian Firong had already come out of the room. His eyes were a little red, but his expression was firm and he had no regrets. "Tian brother, don't worry, your antidote will be mixed with Little Fatty's transformation potion. The transformation potion, Tian can also be used. As for what it is, Tian please ask the little fat man," Guyao said a little. He didn't reveal the true identity of the little fat man to Tian Firong. It was up to the little fat man to decide whether to tell him or not. After Guyao finished speaking, he went into the pill room to refine the medicine. The two materials were still a lot more expensive than the antidote. These materials were not collected completely in Yuanyang town. I bought it subconsciously because I had never seen Guyao before, and it just came in handy now. Outside, Tianfirong just accepted a fact that was difficult for him to digest, and then he learned about the transformation potion and its effects from the little fat man. He patted him on the shoulder and said, "I don't really believe it, but after using the potion, you will see the effect. For this, I specially bought a test instrument before, which cost me a lot of spirit stones. Tell you, in the future you have to return these spirit stones to me." Tianfirong nodded dazedly. He trusted Guyao more than Fatty. As long as Guyao said it, it would definitely come true. So at this moment, excitement rose in his heart, which finally turned into a big smile on his face. After one night, Guyao walked out of the pill room. Tianfirong and little Fatty stayed outside all the time. They didn't even sleep. Chi Changjai arranged his time as usual, as if they didn't exist. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 75. Guyao. Tianfirong and little Fatty rushed over together, but they were stopped halfway through, and it wasn't Chi Changjai or anyone else who stopped them. The two of them had to look at Guyao. Guyao was about to swipe his tail when he saw them. He smiled and threw the potion to them. "Little Fatty's one tube is enough, Tian urges has 3. The next dose must be taken at least 5 days apart, otherwise the effect will be worse. This is considering that the medicine on Brother Tian should have a lot of time, and it is a bit troublesome to clear it." "Thank you, Guyao." The two glanced at each other, and they didn't even bother to eat breakfast. They took their respective medicines and went back to the room, so they didn't make another stall that day, which disappointed the people who waited in front of the stall early for a while. Chi Changjai looked at Guyao's face, and was a little blue now, and said, "Take a hot bath first, then have breakfast, and take a rest after breakfast." Guyao stretched and said, "Okay, listen to brother yet. The breakfast is very simple. It is porridge made with lingmai, and 2 steamed buns. After a short rest, I practiced the stellar physique, and after a sleep, I woke up full of energy." In the afternoon, Tianfirong and little Fatty came out of the room one after another. They had both bathed. Otherwise, the smell would be very bad. Little Fatty couldn't wait to take out the test instrument and put his hand on it. Several people included Su Chen in the space. He also stared at the top of the tester, and he also wanted to know how effective the medicine was. The khaki-colored beam of light really became thicker. The values of water spirit root and wood spirit root did not change. However, the value of earth spirit root increased from 34 to 40. The little fat man was so excited that he jumped and jumped in the yard, screaming strangely. He kept trying to rush over and hug Guyao, but was stopped by a sword energy. He made a face at Chi Changjai, still happy. Medicines really work. Guyao simply created a miracle. What even his grandfather could not do, Guyao did it. If this medicine spreads out, Guyao will definitely be famous in the entire Tianlin continent, even outside the Tianlin continent. However, he also knows that Guyao is not strong enough now, so the matter of the potion needs to be kept secret. On the contrary, Tianfirong didn't dare to extend his hand to the test instrument. Seeing his hesitant appearance, the little fat man pushed him behind him. Tianfirong threw himself towards the test instrument, and then accidentally pressed his hand on it. Swish, 3 beams of light lit up, especially a fiery red, which was especially eye-catching. "Huo Lingen, 45. The little fat man gasped directly. He hasn't used the transformation potion yet. Tianfirong's fire spirit root is so good. When the drugs in his body continue to be cleaned up, and then he takes the transformation potion, his talent is probably even higher than that of Shuanglingen. The little fat man turned to look at Tianfirong, who was stunned there, and asked, "Tian-er brother, Don't you have any special physique? Otherwise, there are very few fire spirit roots that stand out among the 3 spiritual roots. This kid has a hidden azure body, which is rare. It seems that the main purpose of the person who gave him the medicine is not to lower his aptitude, but to hide his physique. The hidden azure body, with the corresponding exercises, as long as the Danshin condenses after the Kinjian comes out, the speed of cultivation will be very fast, but this stupid boy is stupid and has stupid blessings. Hearing that Su Chen used 3 silly words to describe Tian Firong in his mind, Gu Yao couldn't help laughing, and asked. Kinjian, is that a kind of fire from heaven and earth? Yes, that's why I said that this stupid boy has stupid blessings. It is difficult for ordinary people to find a strange fire, but this kind of person is, tisk. Su Chen wanted to take this person away. Forget it, take it, it is against the law of the heavens, so he should not do such wicked things. But it is not easy for this Kinjian to grow up, and the initial Kinjian can't play a big role. When Gu Yao was listening to Su Chen spreading the common sense of this kind of physique to him, Chi Changjai reached out and took Tian Firong's hand. He didn't have Su Chen's eyesight and could see through Tian Firong's physique at a glance, so he needed to probe into his body. In this situation, Tian Firong trusted him very much, and let his divine sense penetrate in without the slightest resistance. When Chi Changjai let go of his hand, he looked at Tian Firong with a strange look, and he said, "You should have some kind of fire attribute special constitution, and it's invisible. I don't know exactly what it is. You should make good use of it in the future. Xiaoao, do you know?" Gu Yao was surprised, and asked Su Chen in his mind, "This Kinjian body is very special? Brother Ye didn't even recognize it?" Su Chen said, "It's very rare, and the drugs are not completely removed, so you may not be able to recognize them." Gu Yao looked at Tian Firong. "Do you want to speak out in public?" Tian Firong didn't know how to describe his mood. How could he think that such a huge pie would hit him on the head? He nodded when he saw Gu Yao's appearance, and said, "Gu Yao, tell me what you know." Gu Yao thought about his words and said, "It may be a hidden cyanobacterial body." Chi Changjai's eyes showed a strange color again. He could only detect that Tian Firong was hiding a strong fire power. He didn't expect it to be the Kinjian body. "I have never heard of a cultivator with such a physique before," and said with a strange expression, "I didn't expect you to be so lucky, and when it is fully inspired, it may not be inferior to the fire element Shan Lingan. Real." Chi Changjai made an exception to say more about the situation, which is what Gu Yao heard from Su Chen. Tian Firong was both happy and a little sad. He didn't understand why he would hide his physique. If it wasn't for Gu Yaneng after getting rid of the drug, he will spend his whole life in Yuanyang town undisturbed. He won't blame others, but only blame himself for his poor natural aptitude. The little fat man was jealous of Tian Firong, but seeing his expression, he couldn't say anything like that anymore. It was not easy for anyone, so he could only pat him on the shoulder to show comfort. Tian Firong shook off the shadow in his heart, also patted the little fat man on the shoulder, and pounded it with his fist. No matter what, this is a good thing for him to fall in the sky, and he will not practice hard and cultivate in the future. For nothing. Gu Yao, thank you, you are my reincarnation benefactor, and I will work hard to cultivate and become a thug for you in the future. Tian Firong patted his chest and promised. Gu Yao also gave him a fist and said with a smile, "The 4 of us are now a small group, of course we have to help each other. Tian our brother still waits for the drugs on his body to be cleared, and then see if you want to use a transformative agent. Okay, I'll listen to Gu Yao." When he was alone with Gu Yao, Chi Changjai looked at his expression and asked, "Are you envious?" "Actually, Xiaoao, you don't have to envy Tian Firong. Your talent in alchemy is your greatest reliance, and your potential is unlimited." He wanted to say, Gu Yao is a person who can create miracles. Gu Yao held his chin with a smile and said, "It's a bit envious, but it's not absolutely necessary." Brother Tian has his chance, so I will have mine, too. Big brother Ye is the same. At present, among the four of us, big brother Ye's talent is the same. Is the best. Chi Changjai smiled and rubbed Gu Yao's head. No matter how good the talent is, it may not make it to the end. Just like me, if I hadn't gotten involved in the crack of space by chance, I would have died in the hands of others. If I hadn't been treated as an ordinary person, if you get into Yuan Yang Town, you may be slashed by someone, or eaten by monsters outside, and you will die silently. So talent is important, but other factors are also indispensable. Yeah, I understand. Then Gu Yao frowned again. Brother Ye, do you think I can transform myself into a celestial spirit body based on the transformation potion in the future, a natural wood spirit body and a fire spirit body? Heaven, the spiritual body should be at the level of 100. Su Chen was dumbfounded. This kid outside really dared to think about transforming himself into a heavenly spirit body? Why can't he be bold and directly transform himself into a soaring immortal? What else does he dare not think about? Although Chi Changjai was shocked by Gu Yao's whims, he still thought about this possibility seriously and said, as long as you work hard towards this goal, you may be able to get closer, but Xiaoao doesn't need to be overly obsessed with aptitude and ignore others. What Chi Changjai didn't tell Gu Yao was that the celestial spirit body always came from the cultivator of Tianligan. He had never heard of two celestial spirit bodies coexisting in the same person, but, maybe a miracle could happen? In front of Gu Yao, Chi Changjai's principle was broken. Gu Yao clenched his fist happily. Brother Ye, I now know that cultivation is the foundation, and with the support of cultivation and a longer lifespan, I will have the opportunity to invest in these researches, and there will be many medicines. I'm not just obsessed with the same medicine and medicine waiting for me to study. Chi Changjai's eyes were soft, and Su Chen in the space didn't even notice, this silly boy. After this day, the enthusiasm of the four people in the small courtyard for cultivation was unprecedentedly high, and with the support of Gu Yao's medicinal herbs, their cultivation base increased at a speed visible to the naked eye. In this world, even in Tianfu Academy, no matter how many spiritual stones there are, if there is not enough cultivation, they will not be able to keep the spiritual stones. So there were no stalls for a few days. The people outside were impatient, and there were several kinds of voices. The most important one was that there was no elixir channel behind these four people, so they will not be proud of them in the future. The days are coming, and some people want to win over Chi Changjai, a talented person with a profound cultivation base and great combat power, but he can't even see anyone, and he can't force his way in. That's not attracting people, but offending people. Only the people from Miaoun Pavilion can see Gu Yao and several people every day, because the pills are delivered once a day, but the number is limited. In Gu Yao's words, there is only one person, and his daily energy is limited, so it is Tao Yu. There is no way to take him, you can't keep him under guard for 24 hours, and stare at him for alchemy all the time. In the Miaoun Pavilion, Tao Yu returned upstairs after dealing with the people who came to buy beauty pills, and asked with some hope, how is the research on the pills? Can you decompose the ingredients of the pills? Tao Yu negotiated with Tian Firong and Little Fatty, and wanted to buy the pill at one time, but no one was stupid. This is a golden chicken that can keep laying eggs. Selling the pill is tantamount to killing a chicken and taking an egg. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 76. Miaoun Pavilion also has alchemists and full-time staff who are good at making rouge gouache. Although they are not comparable to those outstanding students on Danfan, I thought it would not be difficult to decompose a few pills that were not high in grade, but now I look at Tao Yu. With hope, one of the female students shook her head. Senior Sister Tao, Junior brother Gu is very cunning and knows exactly what materials he used, but we are helpless with these pills. The methods used in these pills are not the same as what we used to contact, and we have never seen them before. Let Tao's sister is disappointed. Tao Yu was really disappointed for a while, but laughing again has nothing to do with you. It was our Miaoun Pavilion who underestimated them. They dared to hand over the medicinal pills to us, presumably because they knew that we could not copy these medicinal pills. Fortunately, our Miaoun Pavilion is not at a loss. Their beauty pills are only provided to our Miaoun Pavilion family. You can't study it. Presumably other forces have similar results. I don't know if people from Danfan will intervene in this matter, the female student muttered. Tao Yu smiled, she also wanted to know what action Dan Summit took. Miaoun Pavilion needed a large amount of medicinal pills, and after urging a few times, Gu Yao was too embarrassed to shirk, so he called Qi Changjai and Tian Firong to help and prepare to make more. Tian Firong and Little Fatty, especially the latter, are very curious. Gu Yao is not afraid that this pill will be analyzed by others, then this pill will be worthless, so when Gu Yao called over to fight, I wanted to mention something. Speaking of this, in his opinion, this batch of beauty-enhancing pills from Miaoun Pavilion is very popular, and there must be many people who use their brains. As a result, Gu Yao took out a bunch of instruments, which was the result of his cooperation with Qi Changjai. Gu Yao gave Qi Changjai a list, and then Qi Changjai assigned Tian Firong and Little Fatty to cut those spirits according to the requirements on the list. Sort out the parts that need to be used. The petals of the March flower, the leaves of the seven-star grass. The same materials were put into the cauldron in front of Gu Yao, the liquid inside kept churning, and the smell was a bit pungent, but under constant stirring, the color became clearer and clearer, and the smell changed from pungent to good. However, if you look closely, you can see that impurities are constantly being removed from one of the holes. At the same time, Gu Yao's complexion is also a little pale, which shows that it is very exhausting, but the steps involved are to let them still describe it to others. The alchemy master, it may not be able to imitate it. In the end, Gu Yao took out another porcelain bottle and poured out a green liquid from the bottle, but no spiritual energy came out. After swallowing a Qi Hui Dan, Gu Yao activated the fire gang, and the little fat man looked at it. Yo, this is the real start of alchemy. What he expected was not bad, but the number of pills in the furnace was really scary, and he didn't know how Gu Yao did it. In the end, hundreds of pills were condensed in the furnace, all of which were whitening pills. Gu Yao looked at the pills in the furnace. The medicinal pill smiled at Qi Changjai, who was laying his hands on him. It's done, the amount provided this time should not be urged by the people in Miaoun Pavilion. Qi Changjai wiped the sweat oozing from Gu Yao's forehead with a handkerchief, indulging in nature. If you are not satisfied, just ignore it. Tian Firong and Little Fatty looked at their noses and hearts, and they couldn't be more serious, but their ears moved. It's really a big plan for this late night, and do they think they don't exist? Gu Yao is so non-stop to concoct pills. This batch of pills is his test of combining pharmacy and pill concocting. The test product is the essence extracted from different spiritual materials. It is difficult for those who do not understand to distinguish the raw materials, let alone several non-spiritual herbal plant essences with special effects. Well, that's not something that can be effective in a short time, so take advantage of this time to earn more spirit stones. There were several jars made of jade on the shelf of the Dan room, not the thumb-sized vials. Each jar contained at least hundreds of pills. Tian Firong and the little fat man saw that Gu Yao finally stopped, and couldn't help showing admiration. Eyes. Qi Changjai waved to them, and the two immediately left the pill room consciously, and they had to be careful not to make any noise to wake up Gu Yao. As for Gu Yao himself, he had already fallen asleep in Qi Changjai's arms. Too tired, mentally exhausted. With a flick of Qi Changyek's finger, the formation of the pill room immediately activated, isolating the sound of the outside world and ensuring that Guyao would not be disturbed by the outside world. Chi Changjai gently picked up the person, although there was no bed in the Dan room, but there was a bed that could rest in the middle. As soon as he gently placed the person on the bed, Guyao rolled and grabbed Chi Changjai's robe. Chi Changjai didn't push the person away, but took out a handkerchief from the storage bag, and a water condensation technique wet the handkerchief, then run the spiritual power to heat the handkerchief to make the temperature suitable, and then gently wipe Guyao's face and hands, brushing away the hair sticking to his cheeks. The movements are really gentle, very different from Chi Changjai's usual stern style, so Guyao didn't wake up during the whole process, and finally wiped it off comfortably, and his brows were stretched. As for the dirty handkerchief, Chi Changjai threw it aside, and then half leaned on the bed to hug the person who rolled over, and half closed his eyes to take a nap. Besides, Danfan Lin Fengju, after returning to Danfan, let someone check the situation of this year's new students. In fact, this trivial matter is not worth asking him personally as a peak master, but he was annoyed by other peak masters and Elder Yi and others, saying that their Danfan students are not as good as a newcomer who has just entered the academy. He wanted to see what was so special about this newcomer. He also already knew that at this year's Immortal Ascension Conference, the Master Hugu of Qian Valley was present in person, so he did not think that people with a little talent in alchemy would choose Tianfu College instead of going to Qian Valley to seek opportunities, and they would be eliminated by Qian Valley. After going through layers of screening by other sects, Tianfu Academy's turn is not just the garbage that others call it. The disciples that Feng Julin himself personally collected were brought back by him from outside the academy, not selected from among the students. Currently in charge of Danfan's daily affairs is the eldest disciple of Lord Lin Feng. His talent is not very good, but he is very good at managing mundane affairs, so Danfan's affairs are left to him. Master wants to know the news, the disciple has already inquired. Ling Qi came in and reported respectfully, there is indeed a batch of high-grade 9th grade intermediate level pills in the outer courtyard, but whether these pills are from the new students in the outer courtyard, we still need to go further. Confirm, why is Master interested in this matter? Could it be that Master has to accept new disciples again? The disciple found the enrollment information of the student who may be a medicine pill refiner, his talent. Ling Qi shook his head and sighed, it's a pity, it's the 4 spiritual roots, even if the main spiritual root is the wood and fire double spiritual roots, these 4 spiritual roots will hold you back. Lord Lin Feng was still very kind to his disciples, and when he heard this, his face turned black as ink. A student with 4 spiritual roots is also stirring up trouble in the outer courtyard. Don't let people ruin our Danfan's reputation, and don't let people buy. Because Danfan is so good. Yes, Master, the disciple will arrange it. Ling Qi took the order. After Ling Qi came out, he was immediately surrounded by a group of alchemists on Dan Peak. They all knew that senior brother Ling asked someone to inquire about the news of the outer courtyard. In fact, the disturbances in the outer courtyard were passed in long before Ling Qi wanted to inquire. In their ears, they just kept their identities and never made a move. In their opinion, these guys are just entering the academy and want to be in the limelight, so as to attract the attention of Danfan and bring them into Danfan in advance. Don't think that Dan Peak's resources are also very tight. They don't want someone with outstanding talent to take away the attention of the Peak Master. Not all alchemists are not short of spirit stones. They are very wealthy. As a student who officially becomes an alchemist, there is a fixed number of monthly quotas. If they exceed the quota, they need to spend their own spirit stones to buy. Most people need to think about it. Ways to raise spirit stones. Ling Qi looked at their expectant eyes and said with a smile, the old master said, don't let people ruin our Danfan's reputation, and don't let people think that our Danfan is so good. These alchemists glanced at each other, and immediately understood the meaning of the senior brother, leaving a string of respectful words to please the senior brother, and then turned and left. On this day, Tianfirong and Little Fatty were about to resume setting up their stalls. Before they reached the commercial street, they saw Bai Xiu hurriedly running out, and they hurried over. "Two brothers, it's not good, Sister Tao asked me to come to you." The two looked at each other. What could be the matter? "Junior sister Bai, take it slow, what's wrong?" Bai Xiu said anxiously, "Your stall has been taken up. I heard from senior sister Tao that they belong to Danfan. They must have come for you, or else they will take yours instead of taking up other people's stalls." Bai Xiu has joined Miaoun Pavilion and still makes flower cakes and sells flower cakes. She is sheltered by Miaoun Pavilion and has a good life. That's why she heard what happened to senior sister Tao. "Danfeng?" Tianfirong hurriedly said, "Junior sister Bai, don't worry, we'll go take a look first. The people from Danfan have taken up the stall, and we can rent another stall although there is no renewal fee. They are used to renting and generally do not. It was occupied by others, and now it is rented. It is estimated that it is for them." The two hurried to the commercial street. Bai Xiu followed, because Danfan's people appeared. A lot of people gathered in the commercial street to watch the fun. Some people didn't think it was a big deal to watch the fun, and they wished that someone would follow Danfan's people. People are hitting the stage. Tianfirong and the little fat man rushed to the original booth. There were several floors of people in circles and circles. From a distance, you could hear the students complimenting the alchemist inside, and some people even deliberately stepped on the original stall owner. The alchemist who came to support Gao Danfan. The purpose of this was clear enough. The little fat man was about to bite his teeth and rush in to take a look. An old repeat customer who often buys medicine pills in their hands stopped the two of them. "Be careful, these people have bad intentions. I guess you guys have bad intentions. I'm afraid it will be difficult to rent a booth again. Many people in this academy are willing to do things for their Danfan people." The little fat man gritted his teeth. "It's too much to deceive people." "Ah, the original stall owner is here," someone shouted loudly, and the students surrounding the stall turned their heads and cast various glances, most of which were gloating. The crowd of onlookers automatically separated, revealing the two people inside, and the clothes on their bodies clearly showed their identity: Danfan's alchemist. Transmigration, first-class immortal husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 77. "You are here." Tao Yu walked over to the two of them and greeted them with a smile. At this time, it was obvious that most of them stood on Danfan's side. As an important member of Miaoun Pavilion, Tao Yu did not shy away from standing on their side. Tianfirong looked at the two people who were sitting there with their arms folded and looked critically over, and asked, "Senior sister Tao, who are they?" Tao Yu chuckled. "Actually, their names, the two juniors, should have been heard before. One of them is Li Shurong. At the 6th level of Qi refining, they can already refine 9th grade high-grade medicinal pills. One is Lu Linga, the 7th grade Qi refining master, is also a 9th grade high-level alchemist." Tianfirong and the little fat man were stunned. They had inquired about a lot of news. After selling the medicinal pills, they also deliberately inquired about Danfan. Although they had never seen them before, they had heard their names a lot. Those with extremely high talent in art have been trained by Danfan, and some Danfan elders have already said that they want to accept them as disciples, but they want to worship the peak master. "Boy, you've heard the names of the two alchemists, and you're afraid. If you're afraid, come over and admit defeat, kowtow and admit your mistake," some students shouted at the two, wanting to take this opportunity to catch up with the two alchemists. Line: "Even if you have a familiar face, you can ask for a better person in the future." As soon as the student came out, he immediately got a chorus of echoes, and there were many boos at the two of them. The one named Li Shurong was disdainful, and Lu Linga frowned in disgust. At first glance, it is not the person who took out the high-grade pill, but in her eyes, it is a hypocrite who has little real ability, but is easy to deceive. Tian Firong and Little Fatty looked at each other. In fact, they didn't understand why these people were like this. Tian Firong pointed to Li Shurong, brother Li, senior alchemist of the 9th grade. The little fat man pointed to the other, senior sister Lu, a senior alchemist of the 9th grade. The two of them said in unison, "But what are you two alchemists looking for us for? We are not alchemists, so what kind of prestige are you showing to them? Alchemist looking for ordinary monks to show off?" Seeing the two of them sing together, the two of them on the opposite side were so embarrassed that their faces flushed red. Tao Yu couldn't help but laugh. She seemed to explain kindly, "They should be looking for the alchemist behind you to learn about alchemy skills, right? Are the two alchemists?" Lu Linga said angrily, "Isn't this obvious?" Tian Firong pulled out the folding fan that he hadn't seen for a long time, opened it with a snap, fanned a few times, and put on a sassy gesture. "What is it? Do you have a challenge letter first?" "Without a challenge letter, our Dan the teacher is not so leisurely, anyone who comes can take on the challenge." Little Fatty, "Yes, brother Tian is right. Besides, do you have to take on the challenge when you submit the challenge book? Danfan's alchemist challenges an unknown student, don't do anything that is not good." "Brother Tian, do you think so?" Tian Firong put one hand on the little fat man's shoulder and gave him a very polite look. Tao Yu rubbed her stomach. These two treasures, but this made Danfan's two alchemists a little bit unable to come down to the stage. But also, since the other party is here to smash the scene, why should they go according to their wishes? The original Danfan people rushed into the challenge of the new students, and they have fallen into the inferior position. If the challenge is won, everything is easy to say, but if the challenge is lost, then this Danfan will lose a lot of face. Tao Yu was looking forward to it. Not far from the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce upstairs, Zhang Yan and Zhou Li, who were watching the situation here, looked a little funny. Zhou Li smiled and lay there. The two junior brothers are so daring, Danfan's people have been slapped in the face. Well, ask yourself. A smile flashed in Zhang Yan's eyes. Lin Fengji should have confessed something after he went back, that's why he took such an action. Zhou Li remembered something. I heard that even Danfan has an alchemist who bought the beauty pill in Miaoun Pavilion privately, and I guess he is jealous of the spiritual stone earned by Miaoun Pavilion, and wants to secretly crack the pill recipe, but so far I have only seen it. Miaoun Pavilion is sold, I haven't seen it anywhere else, and it is estimated that many people on Danfan will not be able to sit still. Zhang Yan raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Gu Yao to have such confidence. Gu Yao probably didn't take long to come up with the pills, but he actually stumped the people from Danfan. Maybe it is time for the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce to cooperate with Miaoun Pavilion and push the series of medicinal pills out, and we will not interfere in the business of the academy. Even Zhang Yan, who has been paying attention to the popularity of these medicinal herbs, is a little surprised. No one thinks that there are too many spirit stones. Of course, he is more optimistic about the potential of Gu Yao in the future. He will be able to continue to launch several beauty products on this basis. Aspects of elixir. Zhou Li's eyes also lit up. Yes, senior brother Zhang, but there is also a problem. Only Gu Yao can refine the medicinal pills now, and his energy is limited, and he can't come up with so many medicinal pills for us to distribute. Zhang Yan touched his chin. It seems that we should talk to Gu Yao and the others directly. They made a plan for the future in a few words. There, Li Shurong and Lu Linga were also forced by Tian Firong and the little fat man. They were forced to advance and could not retreat. If they retreated, they would automatically admit defeat. By completely defeating him, Dan Feng, including both of them, can restore his reputation. So excited by Tian Firong and Little Fatty, Li Shurong and Lu Linga set the conditions. You lose, get out of the commercial street from now on, you can't sell a pill here again, we lose. A store here is yours, the store is there, see if you can take it away. That shop is a shop that sells medicinal pills. It is not only owned by the two of them, but owned by many like-minded alchemists. They hired people to be their assistants, and usually throw any medicinal pills they made into the shop as one of them. Source of income. Tao Yu's voice transmission explained to Tianfirong and Little Fatty the origin and background of this medicine store, and their eyes lit up. Wait, we'll notify the alchemist behind us. Tianfirong took out a communication talisman after speaking, and after speaking to him, the communication talisman turned into a ball of aura and disappeared in front of everyone. On the other side, Guyao, who hadn't left the courtyard for several days in a row, took Qi Changjai early in the morning to go to the collection pavilion to relax his mind by reading the books. There were many travel and anecdotes in the collection pavilion. All kinds of strange talk, Guyao read with relish, and other people rarely touch this kind of books. As long as they enter the collection pavilion, they will spend spirit stones. Who would spend so many spirit stones on these useless books? Brother, can you help me get the book on it? A shy female student asked Qi Changjai, who was standing beside the bookshelf. Qi Changjai's response was to turn around and give up his seat. The cultivator is not an ordinary person, so he won't be able to get the book above, so he just wants to strike up a conversation with him. Qi Changjai's reaction made the female student's face flush with shame, and she was about to cry. The male students in the pavilion were filled with righteous indignation. If there were no rules in the pavilion, they would all have to fight Qi Changjai, and they could only condemn Qi Changjai with angry eyes. Guyao glanced at Qi Changjai, saw him approaching, and hurriedly glanced back to the page in his hand. At this moment, the light group burst out, and Tianfirong's message came. Guyao immediately penetrated in and heard clearly Tianfirong's message. Guyao stood up and looked at Qi Changjai. The people from Danfan have come here. Qi Changjai put down the book in his hand. Then let's go over there. He must be looking for something, and it is Guyao who is also directed at Guyao, so Guyao can't help but appear. Okay, Guyao put the book back on the bookshelf and walked out side by side with Qi Changjai. The female student behind saw Qi Changjai without a single glance and stepped on her foot in anger. After leaving the collection pavilion, Guyao looked forward without looking sideways. Not long after, someone passed by them. Guyao was annoyed and came again. Sure enough, another female student came to wink at Qi Changjai, and she met several times on the way, including the one who approached Qi Changjai under various names in the collection pavilion. Guyao actually knew what was going on. The battle with the crazy snake gang made Qi Changjai quickly famous in the outer courtyard. In addition, his own appearance and temperament were outstanding. Even if the status of his entourage did not change, he was greatly favored by female students. Welcome, these female students, trying their best to Qi Changjai away from him. Hey, surnamed Gu, stop for Miss Ben. One person stepped on the flying magic weapon and rushed in front of the two, followed by a man and a woman. The female student who jumped off the magic weapon in front of them looked good, and her body was surrounded by magic clothes and magic, which showed that the female student was a great student. Big money, not bad for the kind of spirit stone. The men and women behind her were very respectful to the female student. A few steps behind, apparently her servant girl and entourage. Miss called me. Guyao raised his eyebrows and glanced at Qi Changjai first, then at the roadblock. I'm deaf? Who do you call me? Say, how many spirit stones do you need to give up your entourage? The female student pointed at Qi Changjai arrogantly. Guyao was stunned, turned his head to look at Qi Changjai stupidly. Is this, buying someone? If Tianfirong and Little Fatty were here, they would tell Guyao that the academy does allow students to transfer followers to each other. After all, followers are private items brought in by students. Qi Changjai also did not expect to experience such a scene. He thought that the previous situations had been unexpected, but it was not that he had not experienced it before, so if he turned a blind eye, these kinds of situations would naturally decrease gradually. but he had never experienced anyone taking a spirit. Shi Li buys his scene. Naturally, Chi Changjai didn't like such a female student at all, grabbing Gu Yao's arm and saying, "Let's go." Gu Yao was dumbfounded. "Okay. Stop. Stop." For this young lady, the female student didn't want to give up, and the man and woman who came with her immediately reached out and stopped them again. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 78. Gu, don't be ashamed, or you, a new student, will never stay in the academy any longer. Are bailing stones for sale? 1,000 spirit stones. If not, then 10,000. That arrogant girl was still yelling at Gu Yao. Gu Yao was so shocked that he almost lost his response. He stretched out his finger and pointed at Chi Changjai. "From the beginning to the end, Big Brother Ye rejected you. If you have the ability, let Big Brother Ye agree." He didn't make a sound at all. Chi Changjai glanced at Gu Yao displeasedly. Gu Yao was busy showing a pleasing smile. "It is really annoying that this stinky girl, how many people are behind Chi Changjai's idea? And it's really rich, 10,000 spirit stones are called out casually. What is the origin?" That girl turned her head to look at Chi Changjai, and there was a hint of shame on her face. Gu Yao felt that her eyes were going blind, and she was just sturdy enough, so she heard a bit of twist in her voice and said, "I can." "Go away." Chi Changjai didn't have the patience to listen, and with a flick of his sleeves, he threw the pair of men and women in front of him into the air, then took out his sword and flew away with Gu Yao. "What are you afraid of? I can make you soar, and I can give you a lot of cultivation resources." The girl was still calling out from behind, and she couldn't hear it until she flew far away. "Mom," Gu Yao couldn't help laughing while holding her stomach. How naive is this girl, thinking that Brother Ye's cultivation resources are stuck, and there is no way to get rid of her. Of course, he also knew that some followers had made a blood oath, or used other methods to restrain them from betraying the master. To restore freedom, the original owner needed to break the contract, but he and Chi Changjai were clearly two independent individuals. Chi Changjai black face, "It's funny." Gu Yao quickly held back and waved his hand. "It's not funny at all, but seriously, when we deal with Danfan's affairs, let's go and change your identity, Brother Ye, to save your life. There are no unnecessary misunderstandings, and I can have less trouble. Once or twice, you can still have fun. Too many times is trouble and harassment." "All right, it's me who implicated you, Xiaoao." No, Gu Yao shook his head in denial. There is a distance from the collection pavilion to the commercial street, so when Gu Yao and Chi Changjai arrived, the two Danfan alchemists who were waiting there were already so annoyed that the veins on their foreheads jumped, but Tian Firong and Little Fatty were very leisurely. Tao Yu was also chatting and laughing with them, and other people who came to help Danfeng jumped and cursed in anger, but Danfeng did not follow the procedure, and there was no reason to curse. As soon as Gu Yao and Chi Changjai appeared, someone shouted, "Come here." They are here. The striking logo is not Gu Yao, but Chi Changjai, who became famous in the battle with the Crazy Snake Gang, and you will know when you see him. The young man following him was undoubtedly Gu Yao. Tian Firong put away his fan and waved to them vigorously, "Gu Yao, come here, someone has challenged you. The bet is a store, you must bring the store back naked, so that we don't have to set up a stall." This remark immediately attracted a lot of discussion from the surrounding people. Gu Yao knew that he was very young. Even if he started learning alchemy at birth, he would not be able to compare to the people who came from Danfan, so this big talk is too early. This is the ignorant fearless, or is the newborn calf not afraid of tigers? Senior brother Li, senior sister Lu, these new students are really arrogant. Senior brother and senior sister must teach them a profound lesson, otherwise they really deceive us. Danfan students who helped out said angrily. Lu Linga was out of anger but calmed down, and sneered, This is natural. Do you really think that Danfan has no one? Do you think that any kind of garbage can enter Danfan? Brother Lee also said angrily, yes, some people want to be famous and want to go crazy, thinking that it is enough to step on the reputation of our Danfan? A big mistake. If Guyao heard this, he would definitely call out injustice, but he never thought of stepping on Dan Feng's position. Everything was just Dan Feng's self-love. Seeing Guyao and Qi Changjai surrounded by people, in the eyes of Danfan people, they are arrogant, typical villain faces, but in fact, Guyao has tried his best to put on a friendly expression. In fact, there is a chance if so, he is still willing to learn about alchemy techniques with others, and only by communicating and having different opinions can he make progress through the constant verification of each other. Are you an alchemist? Lu Linga asked bluntly, with disbelief and disdain in his eyes. Yes, I can make several kinds of medicinal herbs. I don't know how to compare. After hearing what Tian Firong said, he was also interested in that shop. It is not easy to rent a shop with a good location, and it can be delivered to your door without spending any money. Don't come for nothing. Even if the opponent is superior, it doesn't matter if he loses. He can see his own inadequacies and just catch up. It is precisely with this thought in mind that Guyao's attitude is very peaceful. Brother Li, are you here or I'm here? Lu Linga asked Li Shurong. I'm coming, Li Shurong said involuntarily. When it comes to alchemy, Lu Linga is actually slightly better than him. Although he won't win much, he doesn't want to steal all the limelight from Lu Linga. He thought that as long as he stepped out, it would be enough to make Guyao so ashamed that he didn't dare to see anyone. Where would there be a chance for Lu Linga? Although Lu Linga also had opinions on Li Shurong in his heart, it was not easy for internal disputes at this time, so he calmly stepped aside. All right, then this time, it is up to junior brother Li to weigh the weight of this junior brother. Guyao politely cupped his hands and said, then ask senior brother Li for advice. Li Shurong put on the attitude of a senior and said, since you can make intermediate grade high grade pills, it's not a problem if you want to make high grade pills, so let's make a pot of fulling pill in public. As soon as Li Shurong's words came out, there were many exclamations all around. The effect of fulling pill and huiling pill is the same as helping to restore spiritual power and replenishing spiritual energy. However, huiki pill is an intermediate pill, while fulling pill is a high-level pill. Suitable for monks on the 7th to 9th levels of qi refining. Tian Firong and Little Fatty hurriedly turned their heads to look at Guyao. The pills Guyao took out were all intermediate pills. This person's shameless opening was a high-level pill. Isn't it obvious that he was bullying others? Only 5 levels of qi refining. Tao Yu also looked at Guyao worriedly. I didn't expect this Li Shurong to be such a person. Junior brother Gu, you are a student who has just entered the academy. If you can refine advanced pills, even Qian Valley can enter, so why bother? Humiliated by Li Shurong. However, some people shouted at Guyao, if you can't practice, you will automatically admit defeat. Senior brother Li has a lot of them. Guyao clenched his fist against his lips and coughed lightly. He glanced at the little fat man. Now, not only the little fat man's identity has been exposed, but even his identity can't be hidden. He is no longer a man. Once he admits defeat, he will not be able to make money by selling medicine pills in the future. Okay, the fulling pill is the fulling pill, but I don't have all the spiritual materials for refining the fulling pill. Guyao said very single, that he had collected them in Shifang City before, but they were all used up. Besides, it was proposed by the other party, and the other party should also provide materials. Others were also stunned when they heard it. This challenge was too outrageous. It should have been prepared by the challenger. The materials will be provided by our Xingyu Chamber of Commerce. At this moment, Jolie came out from behind, clapped his hands, and someone behind him held out boxes that were filled with spirit herbs. Thank you, senior brother Joe, for your help. I will try my best not to spoil these spirit grasses and waste them, Gu Yao said gratefully. Haha, it doesn't matter if the refining is bad. Anyway, it's not the spirit stone that I took out. Junior brother Gu, you can do it anyway, Jolie laughed. With the presence of Xingyu Chamber of Commerce members, this challenge is considered formal, perhaps because the people from Danfan never thought that Gu Yao would take up the challenge. In their opinion, Gu Yao is just trying to make a name for himself, and he has no real knowledge. See, Danfan's people will automatically admit defeat when they appear. The people from the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce quickly cleared an empty space, and asked the two of them to concoct alchemy in public, so that they could convince everyone. Gu Yao did his part and walked up, very calm and calm. This appearance fell into the eyes of Danfan people, so he pretended to be unwilling to admit defeat and held on. Jolie knew a little bit of news, and told Qi Changjai, Fu Ling Dan is the only high-level pill that Li Shurong is sure to refine successfully. Gu Junior brother will be sure. Their understanding of Gu Yao is limited to refining the intermediate and high-grade pills. The little fat man looked at Gu Yao suspiciously, and now he is more and more convinced that the person who made him take the blame is Gu Yao. This is the only way to make sense, but then I can't figure out why Gu Yao hides his identity and refuses to disclose it. Qi Changjai said with his hands behind his back, Xiaoao will try her best. This clearly did not answer Jolie's question directly, but Jolie did not dare to force Qi Changjai to give an answer. This person's strength can definitely kill him in seconds, but judging from his expression, he doesn't think Gu Yao will lose at all, or else in his eyes, there is no difference between Gu Yao and Lei. Jolie suddenly thought of something, and lowered his voice and murmured, I heard that you and junior brother Gu were stopped by a woman on the way. She wants to buy you from junior brother Gu. Qi Changjai was on the black line. Tianfirong and little fatty opened their mouths in shock. Tianfirong even dropped the fan in his hand. My God, which eldest sister who is not afraid of death dares to buy Qi Changjai? Quickly picking up the fan from the ground, Tianfirong was so curious that he didn't even care about Gu Yao's challenge. He grabbed Jolie's eyes and asked in a low voice, who is that daring woman? Junior brother, I really admire. The 5 bodies are thrown to the ground. Jolie puffed with joy. That woman is also quite famous in the outer court. Her name is Shi Yanyan, the Shi Yanyan of the Shi family of the Shishan Chamber of Commerce, who lacks everything except the Spirit Stone Envoy, likes handsome men, and once pursued senior brother Zhang, but after being cleaned up by senior brother Zhang, I don't dare to mention it again. Hey, you must never mention this in front of senior brother Zhang, otherwise I won't be able to forgive you. This is the black history of senior brother Zhang. If senior brother Zhang knows that he told others, he will not be killed. Qi Changjai was cold, and Tianfirong and Fatty were equally happy. Alchemy has started, you guys are serious too, Tao Yu complained. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 79. Gu Yao in the middle of the open space has entered a state of ecstasy, excluding everything around him. Only the pill furnace in front of him and the spirit grass around him are in his eyes. I still used the original intermediate level pill furnace, skillfully ignited the fire gang, put the spirit grass into the pill furnace, skillfully smelted it, removed the impurities, and looked very focused. Let the Danfan students who came to help out see their confidence begin to weaken, and look at each other. This one's talent in alchemy should not be bad, not a person who wants to have a false name. The higher the grade of spiritual grass, the stronger the combination of impurities and spiritual energy in it, and the more difficult it is to remove it. It has corresponding requirements for the refiner's spiritual power and consciousness, but Gu Yao easily carried out. Refining, it's not like the first time to refine these spirit grasses. Could it be that he has refined spirit recovery pills before? That's an advanced Dan. You're pretending, it's definitely going to leak out soon, just wait, someone said disapprovingly. However, people like Lu Linga were shocked to see that Gu Yao's speed of refining materials was no slower than Li Shurong's. Unless his impurities were not cleanly removed, could it be said that all the top-grade pills were made by him? If this is the case, his talent in alchemy is by no means inferior to that of the peak master's direct disciple. Lu Linga felt the pressure and kept hoping that Gu Yao's refining would fail. The onlookers had gradually become more serious from their giggling attitude before. Gu Yao's performance was clearly not the swaying sound of half a bottle of water. He was really capable. Seeing how fast he refined the spirit grass, he ran ahead of Li Shurong. Went. Is the refined spirit grass unqualified? It also depends on the quality of the final chindan. The voices around him gradually became quieter, and more people cast strange colors on Gu Yao, watching him move his hands and feet, extremely calm, like a master. But such a thought only flashed in the minds of some people: how could it be possible? After the spirit grass is refined, the different spirit liquids must be fused together according to the principle of the monarch, ministers, and envoys to make it a whole. Once there is a mistake, it may cause serious conflicts between different nature spirit liquids, and even the furnace. Gu Yao easily pinched the elixir, and the consciousness and elixir interacted with each other. Even the disobedient spiritual liquid became extremely disciplined. Hearing the roaring sound found inside, the process of transformation, the originally mixed scent of spiritual herbs also began to merge, and gradually, only one scent wafted out. This is the Dangxiang of the rejuvenating pill. The Dan furnace has already begun to become a Dan. God, is it really going to become a pill? I can't believe it. I didn't see that the ancient alchemist was pinching and dividing the pills. If I didn't go to this step, where would I need to divide the pills? I don't know how many pills it can make. Invisibly, many people's names for Gu Yao have changed, from that new student and that guy who can't handle himself to junior brother Gu and alchemist Gu, especially Li Shu, who was on the side of the discovery. Rong's speed is still behind Gu Yao's time. The eyes of Danfan's people are full of shock and doubt. Impossible. They shouted loudly in their own hearts, it is impossible. That's Senior Dan. The fragrance of Fuling pill is getting stronger and stronger, and some people are intoxicated when they smell it. They feel that the spiritual power in their body is full after taking a sip. The round pills in the pill furnace are receiving the final consolidation and rolling. The clinking sound of hitting the furnace wall is so pleasant to many people's ears. At this stage, if someone doubts Gu Yao's alchemy technique and suspects that he is a liar to make a name for himself, it would be ridiculous. Receive Dan. The lid of the furnace was opened, and the round pills flew out of the pill furnace, scrambling to get into the jade bottle held by Gu Yao. Some people who were immersed in the intoxication of Dangxiang just now showed regrets on their faces. How many? What quality? 9 grains, appearance, I don't dare to say. Whoever is present does not know the number of pills, and there are 9 pills in one pot, and the quality of the pills will definitely not be low. It can be judged from the smell alone. The better the quality of pills, the purer the smell. Lu Linga's face became ugly, the hand hidden under his sleeve clenched into a fist. This person is actually a 9th grade senior alchemist. How can it be? He is the 5th level Qi cultivator. She can only refine high-level pills after entering the 7th level cultivation level. The spiritual power of the 5th level cultivation level can't support it at all. This shows what? It means that Gu Yao's talent in alchemy far exceeds her? Then they came to provoke Gu Yao, and it was a big joke in the eyes of the entire academy students, and Lu Linga's face began to turn pale. It took a while for Li Shurong to finish his alchemy. During alchemy, he closed off his perception of the outside world, because the rejuvenation pill required his wholehearted devotion to ensure the success rate. A total of 4 low-quality rejuvenation pills were released. A satisfied smile appeared on Xu Rong's face. He played very well this time. He looked up and looked around, ready to welcome congratulations from all sides and the appearance of his opponent being hit hard. However, apart from the buzzing sound, the scene was much quieter than at the beginning. Looking around, he saw a lot of people showing unbearable complex expressions on their faces, or they didn't know what to say, and they didn't know what to say. Some students from the same peak had expressions of depression and forbearance. Senior Sister Lu, what's wrong? This situation was very different from what he expected, and Li Shurong turned around and asked Lu Linga. Lost. Li Shurong failed. However, Lu Linga couldn't spit out these words clearly. The reality slapped her hard, and even if she was replaced, she couldn't defeat Gu Yao. I'll be a referee to check it out for you. Zhou Lilang walked out with a smile. If you don't believe me, you can come out and test it with me. I'll join in the fun. Tu Tao Yu came out second, covering her lips with a chuckle. She was also too shocked. Advanced pills were so easily refined, and pill techniques were obviously better than Li Shurong's. For a long time, Tao Yu eagerly wanted to take a close look at what kind of rejuvenation pill Gu Yao had refined. Count me in. Another clear voice sounded from behind, and everyone looked at each other. I don't know when Zhang Yan appeared here, and even people around him didn't notice when he appeared. No, Zhang Yan's movements were too light, but just now everyone was attracted by the performance of the center and forgot about the things around them. Zhang Yan walked out, a smile on the corner of his mouth, looking like a clear breeze, but Zhou and Tao Yu took a step back honestly and gave him the title. Zhang Yan didn't refuse, he went straight forward. Qi Chengjai strode behind Gu Yao. He was not worried about Gu Yao. The condition of Yao Yao's medicinal pills depends on Gu Yao's own situation. Seeing that he only spent a little bit of spiritual power and consciousness, he stayed behind him without saying a word. Tian Firong and Little Fatty also walked out quickly. They were so happy, Little Fatty even forgot about the blame. Zhang Yan stretched out his slender, jade-like fingers, first pinched the jade bottle in front of Gu Yao, opened it and poured out a rejuvenating elixir. A strange color flashed in his eyes. He looked up at Gu Yao, then looked around, and this pill is pinched between the two finger pulps. The top-grade fulling pill, the alchemist Gu Yao, has a total of 9 pills, 3 top-grade pills, and 6 medium-grade pills. Wow, the audience was sensational, and now this because Danfan Alchemist came to challenge unknown students in the commercial street. It has caused a sensation in the entire outer courtyard, attracting countless students to come to see it quickly, so the inner third floor and the outer third floor were crowded with people, and when they heard the result, there was an uproar. Without looking at the opponent's result, it is enough to prove the extraordinariness of Gu Yao's alchemy technique and his victory. Zhang Yan turned around and threw the jade bottle to Zhou Li. Zhou Li checked and confirmed the result. Tao Yu did the same, and did not hide his shocked and joyful expression at all. Zhang Yan walked over to Li Shurong's side and was about to take the jade bottle, but Li Shurong got up and grabbed it with a jerk. His face turned pale, and his voice hurriedly said, "Don't look at it, I admit defeat in this game. Lu sister, it's your turn." Hearing the result announced by Zhang Yan, Li Shurong knew that not only did he lose, but he lost all of his face. Everyone left in a hurry. Seeing that Li Shurong actually left her like this and ran away, Lu Linga's face changed abruptly. It was wonderful. At first, I still held the mentality of contempt and disdain, and did not take Gu Yao seriously at all, thinking that it was just a passing game, to gain a reputation for myself, and to teach ignorant people a lesson by the way. Go. She was not reconciled. Maybe Li Shurong was just unlucky. The other party happened to be the best at fulling pill, and other pills were not necessarily the case. Which alchemist did not sum up experience and lessons from countless failures to succeed? How old is Gu Yao, and how many times has he practiced elixir? So she didn't believe that Gu Yao could perform equally well on other medicinal herbs. Keep. But if she loses face like Li Shurong, how can she save face? There are people on Danfan who are waiting to step on her and Li Shurong to ascend to the top. Senior sister, Qing Lingpil, a female Danfan student, reminded in a low voice. In the end, Lu Linga stayed behind as soon as he gritted his teeth and said, "Let's try the Qing Ling pill, how about it?" Qing Ling pill, keeping the spirit platform clear and bright, is a high-level pill that can prevent the invasion of the inner demon. Although it is only a kind of auxiliary pill, but because of its special effect, the price of Qing Ling pill is almost twice that of Fuling pill. The difficulty of refining has also increased. For example, Li Shurong has tried Qing Ling pill, but he has never been successful. Lu Linga happened to have some talent in Qinglingdan. Although it was a bit bullying to try Qinglingdan, the most important thing was to save face at this moment. Lu Linga stared closely at Gu Yao to see how he reacted. Zhang Yan, Zhou Li, and others also looked at Gu Yao together. "Do you want to fight?" At this time, even if Gu Yao voluntarily admits defeat, his reputation has already spread, and it is not really a loss. What's more, Gu Yao has only refined the spirit rehabilitation pill, and he has only been at the 5th level of qi refining and has not properly adjusted his breath. "Okay, then let's try the Qing Ling pill again," Gu Yao agreed. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 80. Since he's already on the bar, he can't back down when he's halfway through. Of course, he has to go all the way down. Unless he is inferior to others, then Gu Yao can be convinced. The spirit grass for refining the Qing Ling pill was naturally provided by the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce, and Gu Yao also cast more and more eyes on him. Losing once, but it will make a lot of discounts on the previous reputation. There are also those who admire Gu Yao's head-on, and there are many who are jealous and dissatisfied. This time, Qi Changjai didn't leave, and just stayed behind Gu Yao. Tian Firong and the little fat man were like door gods, guarding from left to right. Now they and Gu Yao share will and woe, not to mention that they are still friends. Seeing that Gu Yao was calm and unaffected by the outside world, he started the earth pulse fire and put the spirit grass in the furnace. Lu Linga lost his mind for a while. He couldn't believe how a young man in Gu Yao had such calm skills, so he would not. "Will you be nervous? Won't worry, won't you be afraid of making mistakes?" Lu Linga couldn't figure it out, because she didn't know that Gu Yao was once a master of pharmacy who was sought after by countless people in the Interstellar Alliance. Whether it was reputation, doubt, or even malicious smear, she had experienced it all. Because of experience, it was possible to settle down. Only focus on your hobby pharmacy business, and because of focus, you can achieve success. Lu Linga adjusted for a while before letting his mood not be affected by Gu Yao, and also started alchemy. However, in the eyes of Zhang Yan and others, Lu Linga fell into the inferior position at the beginning, and was easily influenced by Gu Yao. If this time unfortunately fails, I am afraid it will be difficult to get out of the shadow that Gu Yao left her. On the other hand, Gu Yao only focused on himself, as if he was the one to defeat, not his opponent Lu Lingpin. The surroundings were quiet, only the scene of alchemy in the center of the field remained. Zhang Yan looked around with a smile. Since Gu Yao refined the top-grade Fuling pill, there have been several familiar auras in this commercial street. This aura comes from Danfan. It seems that they can't sit still anymore. Li Shurong, Lu Linga and Lu Linga were actually just pawns they sent, but the result was not what they thought. This time, they should really pay attention to Gu Yao. Everyone found that the effect of repeated alchemy on Gu Yao did not seem to be great. His movements were still like flowing clouds and water. He had doubts before, but now he appreciates it a little more, and he has a somewhat immature appearance with his age. Then, the bearing seems so calm. Ah, is this the time to start melting pills after refining? Dividing the pills, this is a pinch pill splitting formula. My God, is it going to be successful again? When there was a roar in the alchemy furnace, including Zhang Yan, it was inevitable to show shock. Only Gu Yao's expression did not change much, he was still so focused, but his face was a little pale, and continuous alchemy still surpassed his cultivation. After all, the load of alchemy is a little bigger, and some people can't help but worry when they see it. He has come to this step. His face continued to turn pale, but his eyes were still so firm, and there was no hesitation in the movements of his hands. Receive Dan. After pinching the last pill collection pill, pills flew out from the pill furnace, but Gu Yao was unable to pick up the jade bottle, and his body fell down softly, but before it fell to the ground, he had already collapsed in one step. Qi Changjai caught it from behind, held the jade bottle in one hand, and caught the flying pill. When all the medicinal pills are drilled in, the cap of the bottle is automatically closed with a movement of spiritual power. Gu Yao couldn't get his strength to reach out and scratch his chin, he laughed uncomfortably, never doubted that Qi Changjai would leave him alone, but he felt a little embarrassed. I thought I could. As a result, I almost failed to persevere. Fortunately, this furnace of spirit grass was not wasted. Jolie, who was walking over there, heard the mosquito-like sound, and almost stumbled under his feet. What was this guy worried about? Not worried about losing to Lu Linga, but worried about wasting the spirit grass. This spirit grass doesn't want him to dig out the spirit stone by himself. I really don't understand. You, take the medicine pill and adjust your breath, I will guard it, Qi Changjai said helplessly and indulgently. Okay. Obediently swallowing the medicinal pill that Qi Changjai handed to his mouth, Gu Yao barely sat up, then closed his eyes and adjusted his breath, leaving all the outside world to Qi Changjai, not at all worried that he would be disturbed in the middle of his breath adjustment. Qi Changjai threw down a few array plates at random to isolate the outside world, and there was a spirit gathering array plate to ensure a sufficient supply of spiritual energy. Jolie paused for a while before continuing to walk over. These two guys were too ignorant to point it out. He clasped his fists and said, Brother Qi became famous in a battle before, and the same is true for junior brother Gu today. You're welcome, Gu Yao has completed the task. This is the medicine pill. Qi Changjai handed over the jade bottle. In fact, everyone has already seen the scene just now. The 9 clearing pills were also released. On the other side, Lu Linga received the pills at about the same time, but only 5 pills were harvested. The quality is no better than Lu Linga's 5 grains. However, everyone is now looking forward to Zhang Yan and the 3 to announce the results of the competition, and Jolie also turned the bottle in his hand and handed it to Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan's expression became much graver. He opened the bottle cap, poured out one of the pills, took a deep breath and announced, top grade Qingling pill. Among the 9 pills, 2 are top grade, and 6 are medium grade. Even though there is not a single low grade pill, it can be seen that Gu Yao has mastered the pill technique. To what extent? This kind of pill technique talent actually appeared in a cultivator with 4 spiritual roots, and Zhang Yan didn't know what to say. Lu Linga was holding his own pill bottle in his hand, and when he heard the result, he couldn't help but swayed. He lost, and he really lost. For some reason, before the competition started, she had this hunch in her heart, but she was quickly pushed to the bottom. She obviously had the advantage everywhere. How could she lose to such a weak new student? But the reality is so cruel. Sister Lu. Don't look at it, I lost. Brother Gu is good at alchemy. I, Lu Linga, feel ashamed. I will ask Brother Gu for advice another day, so I will leave. After Li Shurong, Lu Linga also put away the pill stove, stepped on the magic weapon and swept away from the sky, looking a little embarrassed. There seemed to be a slight sigh in the surrounding air, and it drifted away with the wind, and no one was seen. Shadow appears. Tian Firong and Little Fatty looked at each other and grabbed Jolie together. Senior brother Joe, they can leave as they say. What about the store? Isn't the store for us? Guyao has been naked for 2 games, no. Jump out a few more people and continue to compare. Zhang Yan laughed and said, no, Danfeng can't afford to lose this person, don't worry, since they took the shop as a bet, they won't give it, even if they don't give it, your brother Zhang will stare at you and help you. Take. When you arrive, I believe that many students are waiting for your shop to open, so don't hide your clumsiness in the future, everyone is waiting for your high-level medicinal pills. Okay, we will definitely persuade Guyao. Tianfirong quickly agreed, thinking that senior brother Zhang would help them get the store, and he laughed so hard that his mouth was split to the roots of his ears. On this day, just as Jolie said, Guyao was destined to become famous in the first battle. The students around here stayed for a while before reluctantly leaving. Fortunately, they also heard what senior brother Zhang said, and they will open a shop soon. Then you can buy the high-grade pills refined by Guyao in the store. For those who are not bad at Lingxi, who have the opportunity to take high-grade pills, who would buy middle-grade and low-grade pills. With their departure, this matter is destined to spread more and more widely. At the same time, Danfen's reputation has been questioned to a certain extent. Of course, it is impossible to shake Danfen's status. After all, Danfen there was an 8th-rank alchemist in charge, and Guyao was a 4th-level chi refining monk with 4 spiritual roots. When it comes to his spiritual root aptitude, who is not a pity? The students gathered here gradually dispersed. I don't know when, Zhang Yan looked up and glanced around inexplicably, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, when he turned back, he saw that Qi Changjai just happened to withdraw his gaze, and that gaze was in the original direction. Exactly as he saw it. Below Dan Peak, 3 figures appeared, and 2 of them rushed away from the figure in front and shouted, "Elder brother, is there something wrong with that guy named Guyao? Could it be that he has hidden his cultivation and deliberately ruined our reputation?" These 2 are the youngest disciples of Danfen Lin Fengju. They didn't take this challenge seriously. They were waiting for the other party to be exposed by Danfen students. The news made them so shocked that they immediately asked someone to inquire, only to know that Guyao had refined the high-grade rejuvenation pill on the spot, and the 2 decided to go incognito to see what happened. Lingqi. They saw with their own eyes that Guyao succeeded in refining the high-grade Qingling pill in the dark. They couldn't believe that the cultivator on the 5th level of Qi refining had such ability, so the first time they came back with the senior brother, they questioned Guyao's situation. Lingqi looked solemn, there should be no hidden cultivation, his cultivation is not deep, but his consciousness is stronger than that of ordinary monks, and he should have obtained a good inheritance of alchemy techniques. The alchemy and alchemy techniques used are similar to our alchemy. The peaks are different, the same level of alchemists, even if they are 1 level higher, don't go to shame for the time being, let them hand over that shop, so as not to let people look down on our Danfen. The 2 disciples were very unconvinced, because they also had a share, but they also knew that all the words were released. If they didn't fulfill it, they would only let others see Danfeng's jokes. From yes, senior brother, we will explain. Let's go, let's take a lesson today. Danfen has a very high status in our Tianfu Academy, but in this Tianlin continent, there are such existences as Guiyang and Huigazu, not to mention Changxianmen. In such a situation, Master has high expectations for you, so don't be limited by Tianfu Academy and Tianlin continent. The expressions of the 2 younger brothers became more respectful and anxious.